is our second Saturday talk in our series for the month of November. I am super excited because today we are just in absolute celebration. We have a brand new president. We have a Madam Vice President. I'm telling you, up until January, January comes, we have a lot of work to do. But right now, I was literally going out of my mind the last couple of days. I knew that he was gonna win. I knew. But I just didn't know that this many people would vote for Trump, though. Um, I don't get it. Not to mention, we also have some highlights for cultural highlights. So we have the fact that there was Dia de los Muertos on the 1st of the month. I felt like when it comes to Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, it was really hard to focus on that, to enjoy that when we had all this tension about election. So hopefully the next 4 years we can just kind of basically just enjoy the best that's about to come. So that is what I'm looking forward to. Also, there's the fact that Veterans Day is coming up. I want to say for all the veterans who are possibly watching this, or family who have veterans in their lives, we want to say thank you for your service, because obviously veterans and even those that have passed on and given the ultimate sacrifice, they are the reason why we're still here and our country is as strong as it is. And we can only get better. But yeah, so we're celebrating our veterans this month. It's also Aviation Month. Not to mention, it is also American Indian Heritage Month. Perfect timing, given the fact that we have a new South Asian president as well. So those are just a couple of things. Not to mention, it is also No Shave November. I don't know if people still do that. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if people actually still do that. Also, on the 1st of November was actually the first time that Othello was presented on the stage. So when Shakespeare produced Othello, which was a Shakespearean play about a black man, it was first presented on the 1st of November. So that's pretty cool. Not to mention, on the 4th of November, Nellie Ross was actually the very first female governor. So we're celebrating women on this month as well with that. Also, we have the fact that on the 11th of this month, in 1834, The Ugly Duckling was first published. And personally, I actually really like The Ugly Duckling. It's a very interesting story about, someone who, The Ugly Duckling is a very good underdog story, when you think about it. It's about this little bird that hatches, and, everyone thinks he's ugly, and they're like, oh, who are you? What are you? Like, even your own mother wouldn't, people are just giving him a lot of crap, because he's different. He's different from his mother, different from his other little chickies, the other chickies. And then it eventually goes through a coming of age type of thing, and then it becomes a swan, a beautiful swan. So I think The Ugly Duckling, is a very really good underdog story. So Hans Christian Andersen, thank you so much for that story. Appreciate that. Also, the 16th of this month is going to be the International Day of Tolerance. So I will be posting about that on social media, but I'm looking forward to that. International Day of Tolerance, the 16th. We also have on the 25th of November, we have the Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women. I don't really need to explain why that's important, but it is something that is important to acknowledge. And I will also be posting about that as well. So a lot of really awesome days to just celebrate where we've come. I know we have a lot more to go, but, we have so much. I think that when it comes to history, it's great because we don't want to live in the past, which we see with with McConnell and all these people that are supremacists. That are trying to keep America great, or make America great again. Kind of make America great again, or keep Kentucky great again. I think that, we're looking at the fact that history, it is what it is, but we don't stay in history. We use history to be grateful for where we've come as a black woman, as a person of color, and a woman. Those are two sides of the coin where we're finally seeing things changing. And I think as a person who's on the end of between millennials and like Gen Z, you know, on, you know, because I'm on the edge of both. But as a person, you know, living in this generation, we are on the right side of history. I mean, my mom was she was a kid when Martin Luther King was assassinated. You know, my dad was born the year that JFK was also assassinated. Um, I mean, to be honest with you guys, we're on the right side of history. I grew up with a black president, and then now that I'm coming of age as an adult, I'm gonna see a black South Asian American and female vice president. Not to mention, we have a president who is going to unite us as a people, and we're going to be stronger. I am so looking forward to what the next 4 years has has in store. Um, Also, just on a random note, apparently the 19th is International Toilet Day. I just thought that was fun to just think, I don't know. I mean, who would have come up with that? But yeah, um, International Day of Toilets. So I guess that's a way to be grateful that we have plumbing. Good plumbing. Yeah. Also, another thing is I'm taking, just as a couple of updates, I'm taking a new online course. I just finished an online course for multilingual practices. That was with the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. They had an online course with FutureLearn, and that was actually very informative. I learned a lot about minority languages, languages that are dying out, cultures, you know, the cultural aspects of, you know, of keeping languages alive, and also learning new languages and learning a little bit about, you know, different perspectives in that way. I'm currently now taking a online course with to learn Frisian. Guys, I know I can't stop learning languages. It's an addiction. It's really bad. But I'm taking an online course for Frisian. It is the second official language in the Netherlands. So if you speak Dutch, you obviously can understand Frisian pretty well. If you speak German, you can pretty much get a good grip of it. Or if you're like me that knows German and learning Dutch, it just is a combination of the two. Like it's pretty very straightforward. So I'm taking that, and I'm learning. I mean, even though it is a minority language, and one of my friends, he actually is from the Netherlands, he was saying, like, it's like, you know, I know if it confuses you, just don't learn it. Just don't learn Frisian. It's useless. I'm like, but it's a minority language. It's, you know, we got to keep the languages and the cultures alive, you know? As I was just thinking about this, is that, you know, we have over 7,000 languages that are spoken around the world. Hundreds are dying per year. You know, because the thing is that a language is lost when the last speaker dies. And you're thinking about the fact that, you know, all their stories and their history of the things that they have, these people have created, or like the history and the stories, they will be lost. That's information that's lost if we don't keep those languages alive. The same thing with the Bible. The Bible has been translated in many, many contexts over centuries. And so even, you know, over 1,000 years. So because that's changing, we have people constantly translating and keeping that information alive so that we still have it today. That's why even with the Bible being written, you know, being based on information that was captured, you know, history that was captured over 2,000 years ago, it's still available to us today because we have people that have carried that language on or have translated it to other languages so that the information is being kept alive. I mean, even if you look at like Old English, like if you compare like Middle Age, like medieval English to Renaissance English, like Shakespearean English to English that we speak now, you would not understand any of that. I mean, we barely understand Shakespearean English, but when you look at like medieval English, you're just, or like even old like English, you're just like, what is this? This is like Latin. It's like Greek, basically. You can't understand it. So I think it's interesting, you know, when languages are able to basically change over time. And also the fact is that minority languages, they're also important just as much as majority speaking languages. So keep that in mind. All right. So we're going to move on to the next one where I'm going to talk to you guys about recommendations. So the recommendations I have for you guys this month Book wise, I always talk about books because reading is a privilege for me. As a Black person coming from slavery, we weren't allowed to read, so I read all the time. So I always have books to recommend to people. So a book that I finished this one about a few months ago. It is called The Story of French. The Story of French. If you, it literally, the title is exactly what it is. It's a historical overview broken down from origins to spreading to adaptations and to where we are now with La Francophonie. Or if you don't know what that means, it means the French-speaking world. It really just breaks down the language itself, like after France started becoming its own civilization, and then how that language kind of started changing over time. I learned that basically, like when France was first, a country, the whole country didn't even speak French. It was mainly people in the Parisian area, the area where Paris is, and the whole rest of the country outside of that area, outside the monarchy, were speaking all these indigenous languages. They were speaking Catalan, which is primarily, known. We know it today in Barcelona or in Spain. But they were speaking that. They were speaking versions of Italian. They were speaking versions of Spanish. And then it wasn't until they created an institutionalized education system where it's like, okay, we all need to have the same language. We are France. We speak French. We need to start getting an education where there's a general language for the whole country. Because it doesn't make sense if there's a whole country and only 5% of that country actually speaks French. And French is considered the official language. So they've made some changes. And you're also seeing how they were able to basically take that language, and then when they started, when we start doing the exploration era, when we start going into that, you start seeing how they're able to successfully get all these countries to adopt French as a first or second language. So even with Canada, even when they let go of Canada after the 7 Years' War, because that was part of, I think that was part of Britain, I think there's at some point, I don't know exactly all the details of that that I remember, but basically when they let that go, that area, the people that they were still there, even though France basically lost a war and they abandoned that, that land, the people there were like, yeah, well, French is still my language. And that's why even now when you look at Quebecois people, they still are very, very adamant about their language. They almost got into a point where they wanted to become their own country because they wanted to protect their language. Like the Quebecois, the Acadians, they basically wanted to keep that language. And you have different versions of it. There's pidgin languages. You've got Creoles. You just have so many different, just to break down the ways of how they were able to successfully get people to adopt that as a language. There's several countries in Africa where it was because English started coming in, there are people there that were like, no, I'm gonna learn. Yeah, I'll pick up English, but if I had to choose between French and English, I'm choosing French. So just looking at how they successfully, and a lot of these things that they use, I think are really great tactics for basically entrepreneurship, because they were able to convince. It's a very good political. They have very good political standpoints. The fact that they were able to convince several countries to adopt French as a language. Just think about that. How influential is that? They weren't like England or Spain where they're trying to conquer a bunch of territory and get a bunch of stuff. They wanted power through language, because when you can convince people to adopt another language, your language as their own, then you have power in that territory. So I think that's really awesome. Another book that I just started reading, I'm actually about a third of the way through it. It is called Queer Identities in Politics in Germany. It is an overview between 1880 to 1945. So you're looking at the fact that, fun fact, Germany is actually the first country that actually had queer culture. It was back, actually a big thing. From reading it so far, is that you see the fact that up until the very 1800s, that was when people started paying attention to LGBTQ plus culture. Back then it was just, because for us, I know that in the United States we didn't have that until maybe about a big uproar about that until the 70s and the 80s. But for them it was we've had a long time to basically tolerate it. If you've ever seen the movie Cabaret, that came out in the 1970s, that is a very good depiction, because they actually mention that in the book. That's an adaptation of what Berlin was looking like before Hitler came into power, and then everything went underground, because I knew that Hitler was going to be prosecuting people. You know, so I think I think it's very important to read books about, especially about history and things that are, you know, relevant today, because you got to remember how we got here. I mean, history is a picture of how we got here. If we're educated about our history, then we can have a very good standing of where we need to go. So I think that's really awesome. I learned a lot in that. Actually, Germany was actually the first country to actually have sex reassignment surgeries. Also, if you've ever seen like The Danish Girl, because I know that that's based on a true story, I believe it had to do with them, you know, it had to do with Germany. Germany was a big part of that. So, you know, we're just seeing the fact that, you know, history, I think history, when you study it, you find out how you got here. And then you kind of figure, it helps you get ideas. I think anyone who's a politician, or anyone who is an entrepreneur, anybody who's trying to come up with some innovative ways to move us forward, they need to study history. It's so, so important. Don't live in the past, but you need to know your history in order to figure out how to move forward. Because when you're looking at how other people did it in the past, then you can say, okay, well, let's adapt, let's innovate that, and then move forward with that. So I think reading is great. History is great. I used to watch a lot of documentaries for fun when I was in high school. So, so I love history. It's great. So moving on to music. I'm very much into talking about women of color. So I'm gonna have to talk about my girl Namika. When I first started learning German, she was an artist that really caught my attention on Lyrics Training. It's a very great app or website that's great for learning languages through music, and it's a very fun app. I found out about it in high school. It was a recommendation from my French teacher, and then you can learn other languages through that. So if you're looking for good music to listen to, like, Lyrics Training is the place to go. Namika, she is a German artist. She's born in Germany, but her family, her heritage is in Morocco. One of her earlier albums was called Nador. Nador is a city in Morocco. From the pictures I've seen, it's a very beautiful city. And she wrote a whole album about it. She has a whole song about it. If you go on to our music recommendations on our website, which will be linked below, you will see that she's on a lot of her music is on that list. But yeah, she is a great artist. She also had another album that came out recently. It was called Ke Walu. It's the title song from that is really great, where she ends up speaking a little bit. She ends up speaking Arabic in that as well. And I really love celebrating artists that are very close to where they come from. I mean, even for me, I don't know specifically where I'm from. I know that I am African American. I don't know where specifically in Africa, or even in Latin America, because I know that there are Afro Latinas. I don't know, I don't know specifically where I'm from, but I love seeing people who are proud of where they come from, and not acknowledging the fact that yes, she's German. This is where she's born, but I celebrate where my family is from. So she is proudly Moroccan. She is so beautiful. She is an amazing artist. She's fun, and she's got a great heart. And also you should check out her vlog series on her YouTube channel. That's also linked into our website, but also will be linked below. And then as far as entertainment is concerned, I am very, I don't know, I feel like I'm very much German influenced today, because I just love German artists. I don't know why. I do. It's my fourth language. But basically, I really strongly recommend you guys checking out Easy German. It is a good YouTube channel if you really want to learn language as you go. It's basically where they have the hosts of the show, they basically, or the YouTube channel, they basically go around with microphones and they have a topic. Every episode is a topic, and basically they talk to people on the street about this topic. There's actually one about what Germans think of Donald Trump. So basically what it'll be is like they'll interview people on the street, and then they'll have the subtitles in German, and then in smaller subtitles they'll have it in English. But you're basically listening to people speaking in real time. They have a podcast as well, Easy German. They're also on Patreon. am very much advocate when it comes to, if you really want to learn German, I strongly recommend you check them out. They're hilarious. So it's great. Also, they have other YouTube channels where you can check it out. It's like there's easy German, but then there's also easy French, there's easy Spanish, there's easy Brazilian Portuguese. Those are really great if you want to just, if you're looking to learn as you go on something. So yeah. Also, one thing I did want to point out, because this is a really fun series I was watching. I actually ended up finishing, and I talked about it, I think, on my website, but Millennials, I think that's such a great show. It's on Netflix. You guys should check it out. It's 2 seasons long. It's basically the modern day version of Friends. It's Argentinian Spanish, so it could be different from whatever Spanish that you're particularly learning, because in Latin America as well as Spain, they all speak Spanish, but differently. So slang is going to be different. Expressions are going to be different. I had a roommate who is Argentinian. So I was actually able to say, like, oh, I learned this phrase. Like, do you guys say, like, am I using it right or something like that? And she's like, oh, that's so awesome that you're watching that, because literally I love, seeing all those actors and whatnot. So there's that. But, with Argentinian Spanish, it is a little bit different, but, I love the show. I think it's hilarious. It's hilarious. The fact is, it is a modern day version of Friends. You have 6 people, 3 girls, 3 guys. They start out like, they're basically like mutual friends, or they all work at the same co-working space. 3 of them got together and they started an app, and created a business off of that. I think one of them is like an influencer, and like, it's very like our generation, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's fun. Not for children, for sure. It is definitely not for children. So the content is going to be a little bit, yeah. Yeah, but I definitely recommend it if you're not a child and you're looking to learn Spanish. So, because I know that censorship is a little bit different. And I also recommend that you check the ratings before you watch something, because I know if there's certain things you don't feel comfortable watching. And I also put that disclaimer on my website too, is that there's certain content that like may not be suitable for people. And usually you check the ratings because they'll tell you what kind of content you should be aware of. I think they have to do that by law. I feel like they should do that by law. Yeah, so there's that. So those are my recommendations for today. I've got a couple of things lined up, so I'm going to teach you some phrases in different languages. The theme today is we're talking about expressing opinions on politics. Hey guys, so we're on to language expressions and teaching. So yeah, so we're going to get started with that. So I'm going to teach you guys basically political phrases that I believe will just really help you out, I guess, if you're really wanting to talk about your opinions of something. They're not all really political. There's just ways to just express how you feel about people, possibly politicians. So in French, I'm going to start with that, because that is the strongest language that I know at this point. So the phrase I got for you guys today is Je m'en fiche si t'as des bonnes idées. Les actes valent mieux que les mots. Je m'en fiche. It basically means I don't care. Je m'en fiche. I don't know what the literal translation for that is. I just know that if you want to say I don't care, you can just say je m'en fiche. Or you can also say peu importe, which means like a little bit of importance. Like peu importe, like that doesn't matter. Like little importance. But je m'en fiche means I don't care. Je m'en fiche si t'as des bonnes idées. Les actes valent mieux que les mots. I don't care if you have good ideas. The acts val comes from valer, I think. Yeah, basically it means like to value more, mieux, better. So I don't care if you have good ideas. The acts are worth better than the words. So I don't care if you have good ideas. Actions are better than words. That's basically a good expression. Je m'en fiche si t'as des bonnes idées. Les actes valent mieux que les mots. Yep. All right, so we're going to move on to Spanish. So the phrase I got for you is ¿Quieres decir que ni siquiera fuiste a votar? no me lo puedo creer. Like, it's like you want to say. Quiero decir means like I want to say, like you want to say, but it also means you mean to say. So quiero decirme, you could say quiero decirme means you mean to tell me. Que ni siquiera fuiste a votar. No me lo creo. Like, you mean to tell me you did not go and vote. No me lo creo. No me lo puedo creer. I don't believe that. Like, no puedo lo creer. Like, I can't believe that. No, I can't believe myself. I can't believe that's reflexive. I can't believe I said, I can't believe that. I can't believe it. Yeah. So, ¿quieres decir que ni siquiera fuiste a votar? No me lo puedo creer. Okay. And then German. We're going to go to that one. Ich kann nicht verstehen, warum diese Leuten glaubt. Basically, what I'm saying is I cannot understand, verstehen, warum diese Leuten glaubt. I cannot understand why these people believe him. I think it's like if you're talking about someone who lies, you could be like, it's like Donald Trump says that he's the least racist person in the room, and so that's why I'm voting for him. And you could come back and say, ich kann nicht verstehen, warum diese Leuten glaubt. I can understand why these people believe him. Okay. And then Italian, this is a good phrase to say if, let's say, someone is debating whether or not they vote. So, or actually, this is something you could say to Kanye West if you saw my personal post on Instagram. Se non vote, hai niente da dir da qui. If you don't vote, you have nothing to say. Niente da dir da qui. You have nothing to say here. You have nothing to say from here. Sorry. So you can say that. So Portuguese, I found a very interesting idiom that I thought I might use. That's cool. So Portuguese, the one that I got is water break. The one that I got for you here today is acho que ela gosta encher linguiça. Encher linguiça, I believe it means like to stuff a sausage, but it actually is slang to mean to talk on and on with nonsense. So anytime someone goes to Fox News and hears Donald Trump ranting about they stole the election, you can say to your friend, acho que ela gusta encher linguiça. Like, I can't, it's like I think that he loves to hear him like to talk on and on without really saying anything. Like, no one's paying attention to you because you're not saying anything important. And then we have Dutch. This one I thought was really, it's a very interesting phrase. So it says, nu komt de aap uit de mouth. Yeah, so basically it means the monkey comes out of the sleeve. So it's like now the monkey comes out of the sleeve. So it's like now the cat comes out the back. So it's kind of like when you find out like a big scandal comes out. It's like, oh, Donald Trump has, has litigations with he's in litigation with porn stars. You can say, oh, now komt de aap uit de mouth. The mouth. Yeah. No komt de aap uit de mouth. So you can basically say, now the monkey comes out the sleeve. Like, oh, no. No. So there's that. And then we have Catalan. So Catalan is like my 8th language. I'm not fluent at all in it, but I did want to kind of basically, I'm very much in supporting of minority languages because languages are history, that's information. So I created a phrase for you guys. So this one it's crec que Joe Biden é ceni. Es seni. So basically it means, seni is actually a word that means like level-headed. So if you're trying to say someone makes sense, you can say, like in the sentence, creo que Joe Biden es seni. Joe Biden makes sense. Joe Biden is wise. It can basically mean he's wise. So those are some phrases you can use. Yeah, so hopefully these are helpful if you are planning to trying to impress your friends from other countries, be able to actually have an opinion on something or talk about something. And also you can fill these in with like different things you want to talk about. Like, I mean, because these are very, very, these are very big. So like when in German, when it says, ich kann nicht verstehen, warum diese Leuten glaubt, you can take out, because means him, he, or him. So basically you can take that out and put Donald Trump. Ich kann nicht verstehen, warum diese Leute Donald Trump glaubt. Like, I don't understand why these people believe Donald Trump, you know, that kind of thing. So these are some things you can pretty much use and fill in the blanks. So yeah, so now you guys know more than just how to go to the bathroom and order lunch. Because I'm pretty sure you're doing more than that with your friends. You know, with your friends, you're talking about stuff. You're not just sitting there ordering lunch and then you're silent the whole time and just talking about, what are you gonna get? I think people talk about real things. Last month, we basically went over YouTube comments in French, and we were talking about body image. Now we're going to talk about Spanish. And I'm going to read you this book that I found at Bed Bath & Beyond. I was looking for Christmas gifts, and I found this book, and I thought, I wonder if they have it in Spanish, and they did. So I'm thinking I might give this to my cousin, because he's like 9, and he's working on Spanish. So children's books, come on guys, reading is for the educated, so be educated. So I'm going to read this to you twice. I'm going to read this to you one way through, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to break it down the second way through. They're saying, I want you to just look at the pictures and listen to what I'm saying, and then put the pieces together, and then we're going to break it down, so you kind of just to make sure that we solidify that understanding. So the first time, I want you guys to basically try to figure it out, and then when we break it down, then I want you guys to start thinking. So we're going to read ¿Qué cosas dice mi abuela? Dichos y refranes sobre los buenos modales. Okay. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to move over just a second too, because I want you guys to look at the pictures more than you're looking at me. Okay. Mi abuela siempre dice que buenas palabras y buenos modales abren puertas principales. Y seguro que tiene razón porque él sabe mucho. Él sabe mucho. Todas las mañanas antes de que vayamos a la escuela, compruebo que estemos listos y bien limpios. El aseo en la persona muchos bienes proporciona, dice. Después ayuda a mi hermanito pequeño a abotonarse la camisa. Bien vestido, bien recibido. That's a good one. Cuando volvemos de la escuela, mi abuela se sienta con nosotros y nos ayuda con las tareas. Con el tiempo y la paciencia se adquiere la ciencia, le dice a mi hermana mayor. Y a mí no deja de repetirme, estudiando con tesón, al fin entra la lección. A mi hermana le gusta cantar en todo momento, hasta en la mesa. Al que come y canta, algún sentido le falta, dice mi abuela riendo. Luego mira a mi hermano, que tiene tanta hambre que parece que va a comerse el plato. Cuando te sientes a comer, Los codos en las mesas no has de poner, le recuerda. Mis amigos siempre quieren venir a casa a comer porque mi abuela cocina tan rico. Quieren partir su comida. No pasa solo la vida, dice. ¿Puedo repartir? Le preguntó con la boca llena. En boca cerrada no entran moscas. Moscas. ¿Podemos tomar un refresco, abuela? Preguntó. Agua corriente sana a la gente, me dice ofriéndome un vaso de agua. Cuando terminamos de comer, quiero ir a jugar, pero me pasa la servilleta para que me limpie. Boca sucia no habla limpio, dice. A veces al jugar hablemos muy rápido y todos a la vez. A mi abuela nos recuerda el hablar bien poco cuesta. Tan importante es saber hablar como saber callar y escuchar. Cuidado, dice mi abuela. No te subas en esa silla. Ay, 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 no la escuché. El que no hay consejo no llega a viejo, me dice, poniéndome hilo en la chichón. Mi abuela se pone muy seria si tratamos mal a nuestros amigos. Una cosa es ser sincero y otra es ser grosera, dice. Pero si decimos mentiras, no advierte a quien mucho miente, le oye la gente. Cuando le cuento que yo y mis amigos hicimos algo, mi abuela siempre me dice el burro delante para que no se espante. Así me recuerda que tengo que decir mis amigos y yo. Y si ve que mi hermana le dice cosas al oído a alguien, exclama, si gritos en reunión es mala educación. Mi abuela nos enseñó que no importa dónde vivas, en casa chica, gran hombre cabe. Ni cómo eres, ni de dónde vienes, de mal o bueno aspecto, todo merecen respeto. Siempre nos recuerda que es muy importante decir por favor y dar las gracias. Al agradecido más de lo pedido. Mi abuela nos anima a compartir nuestros juguetes con las damas. Quien mucho da, mucho reciben. recibe, dice, y no se cansa de repetir. Es mejor dar que recibir. A veces vamos con ella a hacer compras y nos pide que no toquemos nada. Ver y no tocar se llama respetar. The side eye. Okay. Mi abuela nos enseñó que los buenos amigos son importantes. Quien a buen árbol se arrima, buena sombra le cobija. Y que debemos ser amables con todos. Haz bien y no mires a quién. Mi abuela me quiere tanto que hasta en la cama me quiere enseñar. A la cama no te irás sin saber una cosa más. So I don't know how much you probably understood of that. I hope that obviously the pictures should have helped. But basically we're going to break this down. So I think this is a really cute book because the book is basically about, it's called Things That My Grandmother Says. And it's basically about, like, the whole story is about things that his grandmother has taught him, from quotes and, verse and proverbs. So basically we're going to go back over this and I'm going to just basically break this down just for you to understand. And I break things down by context because I don't want you guys to start translating in your head, because that was my problem when I, through my life when I was learning French. And that's one of the reasons why listening skills are very, very hard for me, is because I'm constantly translating in my mind. So I'm going to be basically breaking this down and by context so that you understand what they're trying to say, because sometimes things don't translate the same way. 8 languages down the road, I've discovered that there are certain things that we say in other languages that don't make sense when you translate it literally. So we're going to basically break this down, so something that you can understand. So yeah, basically things my grandmother says, dichos, because I know that that comes from decir, which means to say, so it's like quotes, or things that, or like verses or proverbs. So same thing with refranes. Okay. And it says over good manners. Yeah. Sobre is another word that you can use for if you're trying to express like something over, like preposition, like we jumped over something. But sobre can also be a word that you can use like talking about something. We're talking over something, if that makes sense. Okay, so the first part, when it says mi abuela siempre dice que buenas palabras y buenos modales abren puertas principales. So it says my grandmother always says good words. So like it's like she's always got like good things to say, so you always have something to learn from her. Y buenos modales, good manners, abren puertas principales. It means basically she's saying that my grandmother always says that good words and good manners open main door. Principales, I think it's like, it mainly means like, obviously like principal, like, like this is the principal, something, like, principles types of thing. If you're talking about like in an adjective sense, like, these are the principal balances, or, these are the principal words, main things, if that makes sense, that are going to open the main doors for you. So this is abren puertas, that open doors. They open doors. Y seguro que tiene razón porque sabe mucho. And it says, and I follow, seguro, I think I've noticed it as like, if you're like on Instagram and you're like looking at followers, it's going to be seguro seguidores. Everything's fact checked up here. Basically, that's where that comes from. Que tiene razón. In Spanish, they don't say I am right. They would say I have reason. Same thing is in French. We say j'ai raison or tu as raison. So that kind of the same thing is in Spanish. Spanish and French I get confused a lot because they follow the same rules. But basically, yeah. So you have the fact that it's saying él sabe mucho because she knows a lot. So he's saying that my grandmother, she has a lot of good things to say because she's always right, and I follow her because I follow her what she says because she's right, and she knows a lot. This is a wise little boy. There are a lot of people who don't want to listen to their old people, their older relatives. Okay, so in this part, as you can see, they're getting ready to go to school because it says todas las mañanas. So basically in Spanish they don't say like every morning. You can, but basically when you're talking about every day, it is all of the days. So it's todas las mañanas. It means all the mornings, so every morning. Antes de que vayamos, before we go to school. Compruebas que estemos lista y bien limpio. So basically she's saying that she confirms. Comprueba basically comes from comprobar, I think. So it basically is a conjugated verb that basically means to confirm or to verify. So it's basically like she's checking on them. She checks this, like check yourself before you wreck yourself. She always makes sure that like we're looking good. And it says, she's basically making sure that we are ready. Estemos listos, that we ready, and we're bien limpios. Bien limpios, it means like well clean, like you're nice and clean, basically, And it says el aseo en la persona muchos bienes proporciona. So basically that's el aseo basically is hygiene or cleaning. Then you have the fact is that it's saying like basically in the context she's saying that being clean and well, having good hygiene is very good. It's good things. Después ayuda a mi hermanito. Basically what he's saying is that he's talking about his little brother. So this guy right here, he's the main character, talking about his little brother. I remember when I was in Mexico, my friend was telling me that they do this thing where they, like, if you want to make something tiny, you would just add ito or ita. So it's like, hermano is brother. If you want to make him tiny, you would just say, oh, hermanita, hermanito, little sister, hermanita. Like, it's kind of like, when we do things to kind of like make people sound like, my friend, his name is Benjamin. But if I really wanted to be all cutesy about it, like make him feel like a little boy, I'd be like, oh, Benjaminito, like kind of that kind of thing. So that's how you make something tiny. Pequeño, which means small. A abotonarse la camisa. So she's basically saying after she helps my little brother button his shirt, abonarse la camisa. It says here in bold text, bien vestido, bien recibido. That means basically well dressed, well received. So that's a good one. I think that's really good. Then it says here, basically you can see she's in there and his big sister is working on her homework, and you see all these numbers going out the door. So with that being said, it says cuando volvemos de la escuela. So when we come back from school, mi abuela se siente. So this is a reflexive verb. So anytime you see se, mi, or te in front of a verb, it's reflexive. We have the same thing in French, where basically when you put that in front of a verb, it basically makes it reflect. It means that it's something that someone does to themselves. So se sienta means she sits herself down, like she does that herself. It's like in French when we're trying to say that we brush our teeth, we would say je me brosse les dents, like I brush my teeth, like I did that myself, like someone else didn't brush my teeth, I brushed my teeth, like if that makes sense. So that's what we call reflexive verbs. Con nosotros y nos ayuda. And that's also, again, you see nos ayuda. Us, it means like us help. So it's kind of reverse, but it's basically quicker than saying ayuda. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where you just, reflexive verbs are just there so that it's less complicated. So, but I think it's less complicated. So she helps us with las tareas. Las tareas, which you can see with all these numbers, she helps us with their homework. Las tareas. And then it says, con el tiempo y la paciencia se adquiere la ciencia. So she's telling his big sister, with time and patience, you can you can acquire. Adquiere. I think that like basically means like it to me when I first saw that word, I was thinking acquire, and I always look up everything to verify it because Spanish is my third language, so I always look these up to verify. But basically it means like to acquire. So it's basically with time and patience you can acquire anything. You can gain skills. You can basically, if that makes sense. Yeah. And then it says, y a mí no deja de repetirme estudiando con tesón, al fin entra la lección. So basically it says, and to me, she does not forget to tell me. Repetirme, it means like to repeat to me. Like she repeats to me. Studying with determination or persistence. Tesón, at the end, to the end between the lesson. So basically it's like, she's saying, I mean, I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's basically like if you study really, really hard in between your lessons, you can basically get it. So it's basically just study. When you're studying with perseverance and things like that, you can do basically good things. Good things happen. Okay. So we have this picture here. They're all sitting at the dinner table. Yeah. So with that going on, so this is what's happening. So it says, a mi hermana le gusta cantar en todo momento hasta a la mesa. So it's basically saying like, so to my sister, mi hermana, I wish sometimes like in English it was that simple, like hermana, hermano, like that's brother, sister. It's so simple. Like there's no complication. There's not brother and sister, because those are two completely different words. So, they're completely different sounding words. So you have that. And then, so it's basically saying she likes to sing, cantar. Think of like chanting. Same thing like in French, we say chanter. So like think about chanting, cantar. En todo momento, in all moments. So like every moment she's always singing, and she likes to sing. And then it says hasta a la mesa, even to the table. So until, hasta means until, en la mesa, and still at the table. So basically she loves to sing even until she gets to the table. And she's over here still like singing her heart out. And it says, al que come y canta algún siendo le falta. Dice mi abuela riendo. So mi abuela, she's laughing. She says that basically it's like to eat and sing something. Basically feeling the lack. So it's basically like, I feel like what she's saying is that if you're singing, if you're eating and singing, it means like it feels like something's missing. It's a feeling of something's lacking. Because falta is like lacking. It can mean like something's missing. So that's what I'm interpreting there. And then over here it says, luego mira a mi hermano que tiene tanta hambre que parece que va a comerse el plato. So basically it's like, soon you look at my brother over here, my little brother, he's over here, and he's like, basically he's so, tanta means like a lot, like it's like if you're like tanta, it basically means, or tanto, tanta, it basically means like a lot. So it's like, it's so like, or so like, when you say like something is so good, that's tanta. So my brother, he had so much hunger In Spanish, the same thing with French. We say that we have hunger. We would never say that we are hungry. I don't know why, but yeah, we have hunger. We possess it. It's not who it doesn't define us. We're not defined by our hunger. Yeah. So it's like basically he had hunger that he's going to eat his plate, and you see him like with the little plate in his mouth. Okay. And it says, cuando te sientes a comer, los codos en la mesa no has de poner. Recuerda. Recuerda, it means like she's reminding us. Recuerda can also mean like to remember something. So if you're saying, oh, recuérdame, like, or like in Coco where it says, oh, recuérdame, it basically means like, remember me. Like, yeah, so remember. She reminds us. When you sit yourself, te sientes, remember, reflexive verbs, it basically means like when you sit at this table, los codos, no la mesa, like, it basically she's saying like, she's basically saying when you're at the table, elbows, as she's got right here, los codos, have no place at the table. So, you know, if you guys ever have those grandmothers, like, don't put your elbows on the table. Like, that's not helpful. You will get in trouble for that. So she's reminding them not to put the elbows on the table. Okay. So here, what you see here, it says, mis amigos siempre quieren venir a casa a comer, porque mi abuela cocina tan rico. So basically you see, you know, the boy right here, he's got his friends over. He's got his two friends over. I don't know if you can see the third guy. Abuela is hiding him, but yeah, he's over there. And he's basically saying, my friends always love to come, like, they like to come over, to come to the house, because my grandmother, her cooking is tan rico. I know that, like, people say that, like, in ways of, like, it means, like, because rico means, like, rich. So I think it's, like, basically in the context, it's, like, my grandma's cooking is, like, so rich. Her food is so good. So basically that's what she's basically saying here. And then in bold, she says, quieren compartir su comida, no pasa solo la vida, dice. Dice means said. So basically, like, or says. So basically anytime that happens, that's basically what that is. But basically what she's saying here is that quien comparte, like, basically, anyone, so who shares su comida, their food, no pasa sola la vida. So basically, you know, in English, we typically will say spend when we're talking about life. So, like, what she's saying here is abuela always says, it's like he who shares his food will not pass life alone. So for us, we say we don't spend our lives alone. Or I'm gonna spend the rest of my life alone, you know, or not gonna spend the rest of our lives alone. They say pass. It's also the same thing in German, I think, as well. So the thing is that in a lot of different languages, they use pasar, like to pass life alone instead of to spend life alone, you know, if that makes sense. So you'll see pasa a lot. Yeah. Puedo repetir. Repetir, in this context, it basically means, can I have seconds? Like, can I go again? Can I repeat? Like, you eat food and then you repeat. It's like, oh, so good, I gotta repeat it. So, puedo repetir, le pregunta. Le pregunto means like I ask it, like that's what I asked. Con la boca llena. La boca llena. So he basically asked with his mouth is full. La boca is a mouth. Llena means full. So he basically asked, like, with a full mouth, can I have seconds? And she says, en boca cerrada no entran moscas. And that's where you see all those flies hanging around. She basically said, in a closed mouth, boca cerrada, no entran moscas. So basically, with a closed mouth, you don't have flies coming in your mouth. So I think that's really interesting. I think it's like when you have food, flies are attracted to food. So it's like, you better close your mouth because flies are going to come flying in. I don't know. I guess maybe that's where that comes from. But, you know. So basically, it says, mi corrige mi abuela para que trague antes de hablar. So it says she corrects me. Me corrige. Me corrige. So basically, his grandmother basically corrected him and said, close your mouth. And then he basically says to swallow. Trague means like, tragar means basically to swallow. So it's like, okay, well, she corrected me, now I have to swallow. So, swallow my food antes de hablar, before speaking. Okay. Then here you have, it's basically saying, podemos tomar un refresco. Un refresco is like a refreshment, like a drink. So, or like not like a drink, but like, like basically he's asking for a refreshment, like to take. Tomar can mean like to drink or to take. Like tomar literally means to take. So it's like, can I take something? Like, but you can also use tomar like to say you're trying to take your medicine or something like that. Like you're taking, you're ingesting something. So you can use that. Podemos means can we. So basically she says, agua corriente sana a la gente. So it says, basically she's saying, tap water. So I actually looked that word up because I was like, that looks weird. So it basically means ordinary. Corriente means ordinary or common, but it actually means tap water. It can also mean tap water. So it says, and then sana means healthy. So healthy tap water for the, a la gente, like healthy tap water for the people. Yeah. Me dice ofriéndome, that means like offering me, un vaso de agua. I don't need to translate that. Vaso. Okay, cuando terminamos de comer, quiero ir a jugar. So, terminar, and we use the same thing in French, but basically it's like, when you're saying you're finished, you can use, like, in French, like, we can use finir, like to say, like, to finish, but we also use terminer, which means to terminate. So, and it's the same thing in Spanish. When you're saying to terminate something, like, it means, like, you're finishing something. Like, you can say, like, that you've terminated your exam or something like that. So, terminamos can also mean to basically finish something. So after you finish eating, quiero ir a jugar. Okay, now that we finished eating, we want to go play. I want to go play. And it says, pero me pasa la servilleta para que me limpie. Boca sucia no habla limpio. Okay, so basically, here what you're saying is that when it says when he's finished, he's like, I want to go outside. You know how kids are. They're like, I just want to go outside. And he's like, basically she passes him a towel. Me pasa la servilleta. So basically, yeah, passes him a towel, and it basically tries to clean me up, because it says here, boca sucia no habla limpio. So it basically means like, sucia means dirty or filthy. So it's saying like, basically, a filthy mouth doesn't speak clean. So guys, you gotta clean your mouth. You gotta wipe it off. So I love these like proverbs, because I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I've never heard anyone talk about that. I don't know, like, how people like come up with stories to make people not do things. I remember like when I was in high school, I was telling my high school teacher that I don't drink coffee, and he's like, my mother used to tell me that if you drinking coffee he's like, don't drink coffee, it'll make you black. Like, and he is a black man. So I was just like, wait, what? I was so confused. And so it's like, I guess like they try to like, they make up these like ridiculous things to like prevent you from doing something. I don't know. Yeah. So it says, a veces a jugar hablamos muy rápido y todos a la vez. So it's like at times, a veces, at times, while we're, in playing, as you can see, everyone's playing in the front yard. It says, hablamos muy rápido y todo a la vez. So we speak so very fast and everyone at once, at the same time. Y mi abuelo nos recuerda, and my grandmother reminds us, El hablar bien poco cuesta, tan importante. Remember tan, tanto, tan importante es saber. Saber means to know. Hablar como, to know, to speak, how to speak. Callar basically means like to be quiet. Callar, like it's very. So she's basically saying it's very important to know how to speak, like to speak, and how to be quiet and listen. Y escuchar, listen. Escuchar is like different between like entender, because entender I believe means like to hear, or is that oído? I forget. Again, both languages are confusing, but basically there's hearing is different, but escuchar means to listen. Okay, and then here it says cuidado. Cuidado means like watch out, like careful. Cuidado. Also, I found out that in Mexico, like slang you can say aguas. I know it's like weird. It's like, for me, when I learned that, I was like, waters? And they're like, no, aguas. It means watch out. It's slang for watch out. So if you like, my friend one time, he tripped over something and I was like, aguas. And he's like, you know that? I'm like, yes, I did. I looked it up. I was looking up slang. Dice mi abuela, no te subas en esa silla. So basically she's saying like, subas basically means like to get on something, like don't get on that seat. Esa silla. Silla means is a chair. Yeah. So don't sit in this chair because apparently the ghost of grandpa, of abuelo, is in that chair. So basically it's like don't te subas, remember reflexive, don't you sit yourself, get on that chair. Ay, no la escuche. It says, ay, you didn't listen. Escuche, that's like past tense. So, el que no oye consejo no llega a viejo. So, basically what she's saying is that those who don't listen to advice, consejo, will never become old. Llegar is like, it means like to wear, but it also can mean like to carry. So like, or to arrive. I think I've heard there's like different ways of using this term. There's a podcast called The Spanish Dude. He basically goes over the difference between llegar and traer. And he also has another episode that goes over llegar in depth of how to use that word. So you can check that out. That's linked. But yeah. So basically, basically saying that those who don't hear advice, no, like they will not arrive at viejo, which means old. They will not grow old or arrive at old age if they don't listen to advice, which is true. I mean, I'm pretty sure I would be dead by now if I didn't listen to advice from people in my community. So, yeah. And then she says, me dice poniéndome. Poner basically means like to place, or to set something. So, poniéndome means like placing on me. Hielo, which basically means ice, en la chichon. So basically, she's putting ice on his bump or whatever. Chichon is like a bump, or like something that happens because he fell off the chair and she didn't listen. Or you know what? Maybe that could also be his older self, because like it says that if you're not gonna listen to advice when you'll never become old. And so this is like him old, like we're not gonna live to see the day if you're not listening to advice, something like that. Okay. So with this one, you're saying with the kids, it says, mi abuela se pone muy seria si tratamos mal a nuestros amigos. So it's basically like, mi abuelo is basically placing me, se pone, placing herself very serious. So she's basically being very serious. If we tratamos, I know that means like to hang out with, like tratar. I know that like it means like everything's fact checked on the screen, obviously. But it basically means like you're hanging out mal on, like it's like you're basically hanging out with bad people, like a nuestros amigos, with our friends, to our friends. So So it's basically like, it's very serious, being around people who are bad influences, you know, because he's inside while all these other people are just outside doing whatever. It says, una cosa es ser sincero y otra es ser grosero. So basically, it's like, one thing is to be sincere. Ser and estar are different words. They mean the same thing, but different things. So ser is like who you are, like your character, or not, yeah, or like, it's more like who you are is very definite, like your job or things like that. Estar is like where you are, like temporarily. So it's like where you are geographically. Estoy aquí versus soy aquí. Because soy means like I am, like this is a part of me. Versus estar is like like things that are constantly changing, if that makes sense. To be sincere, one thing is to be sincere, and another is to be grosero. And grosero basically means rude. So it's one thing to be sincere and polite, and it's another thing to be rude, grosero, or grosera if you're a girl. So it's one thing to be. Wait, is there anything else? Oh yeah, there's one other thing. Pero si decimos mentiras, mentir means to lie. So basically it says, if we tell lies, if we lie to ourselves, mentiras nos advierte. It's like if we lie, basically it's like we advise us. This is interesting. This is an interesting one to translate. Again, like with context, it's basically, I think it's basically what she's saying is that, but if we say lies, we're advising a quien mucha. It's basically like if we tell lies, she advises us that a quien mucho miente, miente le oye la gente. So it says he who lies a lot, he or who, to who lies a lot, they flee from people. So it's like basically if you're telling a lie, you're basically running from people because you're not telling the truth. Okay. Cuando le cuento que yo y mis amigos hicimos algo, mi abuela siempre me dice. So it says when cuento, I think it's like to tell something. So it says when it's like yo y mis amigos. So I think what she's doing is she's correcting his grammar. So she tells me that you and my friends, that I and my friends did something. So it says el burro delante para que no se espante. So so it basically says like a donkey in front, but for what cannot se espante, basically means like to. I wrote these down because, like, again, I wrote these down because there are certain words that I may not know right away. So it kind of helps me to know the words so I can figure out the context. So it's basically, se espante means like to, what is this? What did I write? To scare or frighten someone else. So I think it's like if you're a person who, a donkey in front, but cannot scare themselves. I don't really know how to really translate that. So basically it just follows with, I think that's just a proverb that like I don't really know the context of. It's like a donkey in front for that cannot scare himself. So it's basically like a donkey in front will not be able to scare themselves. I don't know. So if you in the comments want to kind of clarify that for me, because I know that Spanish is my third language, but And then it says, así me recuerdo que tengo que decir mis amigos y yo. So basically she's saying she reminds me that we're supposed to say my friends and I, not me and my friends. And then here, the little girl, like the big sister and him are his little sister, little big sister and younger brother. They're basically whispering about something. And it says, Y si ve que mi hermana le dice cosas al oído a alguien, exclama. Like she exclaims every time she sees my sister, basically talking to somebody. It's basically, she says secretos. Remember, it's secretos, but secretos, secretitos, secrets, and reunion and meeting. Reunion is the same thing in French. We say, like, when we're talking about meeting someone, reunion is mala educación. So it's basically secrets in meetings is bad education. It's bad. Don't do that. Okay? Then it says here, mi abuela nos enseñó que no importa donde vivas, en casa chica, gran hombre cabe. So basically, my grandmother always teaches us, no importa, doesn't matter. No importa means no, doesn't matter. Donde vivas, where you live. En casa chica, gran hombre cabe. So basically, in a small chica, I think that, like, what he's trying to say is, like, in a tiny house, because this house is so small, a big man lives. Basically, like, he fits in there. A big man can fit in there. So even if the house is small, a big man is going to be able to fit in there. I don't know if that's, like, metaphorical or, like, that's symbolic or anything, but yeah. And it says, ni como eres. Como eres means how you are. Ni como eres, ni de donde vienes, where you are and where you come from. Vienes means, like, to come, like to come from somewhere. So donde vienes, so it means ni como, like, actually that's the same word in French. We say neither. So it doesn't matter neither how you are, neither where you come from. De mal o buen aspecto, todo merecen respeto. So basically, of bad or good aspect. Basically, yeah. Basically means all, todo, merecen respeto. It means everyone deserves respect. I think it's the same thing in French. We say mériter, which means to merit or to deserve something. So that's where that's going to come from. And then you have this one. So basically here, there's this sign that says gracias. And it says, siempre nos recuerda que es muy importante decir por favor y dar las gracias. So always she reminds us, it's very, very important, muy importante, decir, to say por favor y dar las gracias. It's very important to say please and give thanks. Dar means to give. So dar las gracias. So it's very important to say please and to give thanks. And it says here, al agradecido más de los pedido. So basically it's like saying, being great, being grateful more than, being gracious more than, being more than asking. So thank people more than you were asking for them for something. Okay. And then here you have these boys, them, like the big sister, she's got her toys, her dolls, and she's sharing them with her friends. And you have him here, little brother here with his button shirt. His grandmother button for him. And then, they have their little toys and things like that. And it says, mi abuela nos anima. Animar, it basically means, like, to encourage or to, like, it's like, think about it like as, like, animating someone. Like, I'm encouraging them. I'm basically exciting them. I'm getting them, I'm encouraging them to do something. Nos animas encourages us a compartir. Compartir means to share. Nuestros juguetes. Juguetes. I think that's how you say it. Con los damas. So it's very important to share our toys with others. Quien mucho da, mucho recibe. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Who a lot gives, a lot receives. So the more you give, the more you receive. She says, so, y no se cansa de repetir. She never forgets to tell us. Es mejor dar que recibir. It's mejor, it's better to give than receive. Okay. This is I'm at the supermarket. Okay, and it says, a veces vamos con ella a hacer compras. So at times, with her, con ella, a hacer compras, to make purchases, compras. So it's basically to shop, like to go shopping. Hacer compras. Y nos pide, like, basically this is like, she tells us not, like, she asks of us, que no toquemos nada. Do not touch anything. And she got this little side-eyed look going. She's like, what are you doing? Toquemos nada. Like, we touch nothing. Ver, y no toca nada. Toca. Se llama respeta. So basically, it's called, like, she calls it. Se llama means, like, you know, it can mean like como se llama, like, you know, what is your name, but se llama can also be like to call oneself, don't touch, calling respect. So it's basically like, it's respect, to see and don't touch. It's basically see and don't touch. It's called respect. Se llama respetar. It's called respect. Okay. Mi abuela nos enseñó que los buenos amigos son importantes. My grandmother teaches us that good friends son importantes. They are important. Okay? Quien a buen árbol se arrima. So, who, a buen árbol. So it's like basically, which, like a big tree. A good tree, se arrima. What was that one? I know that means like to grow or to rise up. I did write that down. Oh yeah, here it is. I write these all on sticky notes on the pages. So I know that, like, okay, to put the pieces together. Yeah, so it basically means like to approach or to come close to. So basically like, it's basically like, oh wait, hold on. Let me finish the sentence first. Buena sombra le cobija. The cobija basically means to give shelters to. So it's basically like, I think she's saying is like, a good tree is going to approach or to grow, is going to grow. Buenas sombras, like good shade of shelter. So the sombras is like shelter, or to take shelter to. So it's basically like a good tree that rises. I think what she's basically trying to say, I remember, I'm here for context, is it's like, basically it's like friends are like a tree. They're important. It's like a tree. A tree is going to grow because it's going to create shelter and be wrapped up. You're going to be wrapped up in the shade based on the fact that it's surrounded by people that's going to give it what it needs. It says, y que sabemos ser amables con todos. And it should be, and we should be friendly with all people. Friendly to everyone. Haz is, means like do or to, do or to make. Haz bien y no miras a quien. So basically it's like, be good to people. Be good. It's better to be good and don't look at people. Don't look at someone. Yes. And then it says, mi abuelo me quiere tanto que hasta en la cama me quiere enseñar. So basically, my grandmother, she loves me very much until bedtime, and then me quiere enseñar, and she loves to teach me. Me quiere, like basically she loves to teach me. A la cama no te irás sin saber una cosa más. So it's like basically to go to bed, a la cama, like in bed, don't go without knowing or to know one more thing. Una cosa más. So basically, like, don't go to bed without learning one thing. So she likes to teach us. She likes to teach me something. So I think that's a really great book that basically teaches good manners and basically being a good person and how to conduct yourself. I'm going to be honest with you, respect your elders. unless you're Donald Trump's kids, don't respect their elders. You know, don't encourage that. But basically, this is a really great book for kids if you're trying to teach them manners. Basically want to teach them Spanish as well. Bed Bath & Beyond, I got that from there. I'm pretty sure you can find it at any other bookstore, but I love this book. I think it's so cute. I think I'm going to give this to my 9-year-old cousin. I think he'll love that because he's taking Spanish. Alright, so with that, that ends our Saturday talk for the month of November. I hope you enjoyed this. You know, I enjoy it. I think with everything going on this month is that we have a good 4 years ahead of us. I'm looking forward to just getting on track with this virus and being able to actually hug people. My love language is physical touch. So it's really hard not being able to hug people. And I'm like, no. So I'm really hoping for the best the next, and we have so much to do. I'm really working on a project towards education reform, and I think that we need to just be more educated. If we're more educated and we're able to be critical thinkers, then we can change the world. So yeah, so I really hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy your Saturday, and I will talk to you guys next month in this series. Bye.